Welcome to the Swine Nutrition Black Belt Podcast, the latest swine nutrition research digested for you. My name is Clayton Chastain, your host for today's episode. Today we have with us Bo Williams, a PhD student at Kansas State University studying under Dr. Mike Tokach. So Bo, would you mind telling us about the study?
Yeah, so for this study, we wanted to look at branch chain amino acid ratios, kind of following up the work that our group has done here at K-State. Enrique Semin did a study, meta-analysis, where he modeled out looking at feeding high levels of leucine to lysine ratios and that impact on growth performance, and found that as you increase that ratio higher, you reduce performance, average daily gain, and feed intake. And then another study that our group has done, Hayden Kirkhart looked at feeding high levels of leucine to lysine ratios as a negative control, and then feeding different ratios of isoleucine to lysine, valine to lysine, and tryptophan to lysine to see as we increase that leucine to lysine level by increasing other branch chain amino acids, will we offset that negative performance that we see with high levels of leucine to lysine. So kind of piggybacking off the research that they have done, what we wanted to do with this study was feed a control diet that was high soybean meal, low synthetic amino acids, and then come in with three other treatments, one being a low ratio where we had high leucine to lysine levels, and then increase the isoleucine to lysine, valine to lysine, and tryptophan to lysine ratios, and then did that with a low ratio diet, a medium ratio diet, and then a high ratio diet. And using some of the model that Henrique had made, we plugged that into our formulator, and it had predicted that the low ratio diet should have performed a little worse than the control diet. The medium ratio diet should have performed the same for average daily gain. And then the high ratio diet, so as you reduce the soybean meal and increase those synthetic amino acids even higher, you'll see even better performance than you would if you fed a high soybean meal and low synthetic amino acid diet. So what we found in this study was that the pigs fed the medium ratio diet had similar performance to the control diet, as well as the high ratio diet, with the low ratio diet being slightly lower in average daily gain and gain to feed than the control diet. And really what we took out of this was that as you reduce the levels of soybean meal in the diet, which ultimately would reduce your feed costs by inserting in DDGs in the diet, as we increase those synthetics in the diet, we can get similar, if not better performance than we would if we were feeding a low soybean meal or high soybean meal and low amino acid diet to the pigs.
Gotcha. So would you briefly explain what exactly causes this negative effect from the high leucine to lysine ratio?
Yes, so the 3 to 4 main branch chain amino acids are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, with tryptophan being a large neutral amino acid. And those 4 or 3 branch chain amino acids, they share the same transporter. So as you include an ingredient like DDGs, which is high in leucine, it increases that ratio of leucine to lysine, which causes the breakdown of leucine to go through that transporter more. So we're processing the leucine more in the animal, which reduces the amount of valine and isoleucine and tryptophan that's being synthesized by the animal. So as we increase that leucine in the diet, we're reducing the amount of valine and isoleucine that's being metabolized, which ultimately reduces feed intake, which will ultimately reduce average daily gain, with tryptophan being involved with serotonin in the body. So it's a feed intake regulator for the pig. So as we increase cheaper products in the diet, like DDGs, we increase that leucine to lysine level, which could ultimately reduce the growth performance of the animal.
So also with these three amino acids that you studied, are all three of them needed in order to offset that imbalance, or is more work need to be done before we determine which ones have a larger impact?
Yeah, there's been some other research out of Illinois that showed that as you increase tryptophan uh, up to higher levels, you can offset some of that negative effect that leucine has as you increase leucine. But really, what we got out of our study is that we know that as you increase the three isoleucine, valine, and tryptophan to lysine levels up to a certain point, we see in we offset that negative leucine to lysine ratio. But what we really don't know is it isoleucine as we increase that? Is that the main contributor? Is it tryptophan or is it valine? That's one thing that I believe our group's going to try to dig into more, trying to figure out is there certain amino acids that we should be increasing that play a bigger effect than increasing all three ratios at the same time.
Awesome. And also, I thought you looked at carcass quality from this as well. Did you see any difference from that?
No, we didn't see much differences on carcass quality. The pigs were all the same, relatively the same weight at the end of the study, so we didn't see any differences on yield or hot carcass weight. Looked at the carcass characteristics at the end of the study.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. And to everyone else listening, thank you for listening to the Swine Nutrition Black Belt podcast. Be sure to visit swinenutritionblackbelt.com and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast channel so you won't miss out on the latest episode. See you next week. Hey everyone, we're always searching for the latest and greatest research to share each week. If you have a swine nutrition related research trial and would like to come on the show to talk about it and share with us, feel free to send an email to nutritionblackbelt@swineit.com and we would love to take a look at your research.